What's up, nerds? Razzie nominations were recently announced. Because the Razzies are the highest form of critical award show peak, just celebrating the worst of the worst that 2018 had to offer. Well, their nominations don't count. Mine do, because I'm more important than the Razzies. Top 10 worst movies of 2018. Before we begin, first off, this is my opinion. I'm not trying to sway you on whether or not to like these movies. This is just me talking about why I don't like certain movies. This is especially important because some of the additions on this list could be deemed quite controversial, but that's okay because it's my opinion, and my opinion is my opinion, so no need to get worked up over it, because that would be stupid and dumb. Secondly, I didn't see everything that the year had to offer. I, in fact, missed quite a bit of bad movies, but I apologize for none of it because I'd prefer not to watch crap movies because I kind of have a life outside of watching movies. Whoa, that's crazy. I know, it's hard to believe. Before we begin, I have a few dishonorable mentions. These movies I was not a fan of, but they weren't bad enough to be on the actual top 10 worst, believe it or not. So here are my dishonorable mentions for 2018. Mortal Engines. The House with the Clock in Its Walls. The Meg. Ready Player One. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yes, really. I put a Marvel movie here. It only gets more controversial from here. Let's go. Starting off this list is the first considered controversial addition to this list. Ralph Breaks the Internet. I can appreciate things like the animation, the relationship between Ralph and Vanellope at the beginning of the movie, and some of the more subtle and clever jabs at Disney, but the movie as a whole just felt so product placement-y. Like, even though it was making fun of Disney, it was also just kind of showing off its own product. Like, here, look at all this greatness that we're doing. This is Disney. This is Disney. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. And I just found it very obnoxious. And there was so much just Gen Z pandering throughout the entire movie with all this modern technology talk, talking about the Instagrams and the YouTubes and the tweeters. And it just all felt very artificial and completely disingenuous. And not on top of that, I found the story to be very weak. Like, Wreck-It Ralph, I think that movie's great. I had a blast watching it. This story just didn't hold up to the first one. I'm not sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it's just because of the writing. The writing just didn't really feel human in this movie. Yeah, I just didn't really like it at all. It's definitely one of Disney's worst animated movies I've seen in quite a while. But hey, at least it's better than the Emoji Movie. I think we can all agree that Pacific Rim Uprising was nowhere near as good as Pacific Rim. Personally, I love Pacific Rim. It is one of my favorite action movies of the decade so far. I love the visuals and the action. Just seeing giant robots punching giant monsters in the face is so much fun. Really releases the inner child within me. That sounds very weird out of context. Pacific Rim Uprising is the sequel that should have been good, but it just didn't do anything with the source material given. I found the directing to be very flat and boring, the characters to be really just dumb and annoying, and the writing to be very weak and very stupid. Some of the things that happen to certain characters, specifically Charlie Day's character, is just so, like, what were they thinking? I don't understand. Movie was very dull, very boring, and they tried to do the whole, oh snap, we have a chance to get the monsters where they live cliffhanger at the end that Independence Day Resurgence did. And we all saw how that movie went. That third sequel's never gonna happen. You know your movie's bad when it reminds you of Independence Day Resurgence. It's not as bad as Independence Day Resurgence, but it's close. Alright guys, get ready, because this is the part of the video where I preface, like, seriously preface, this is my opinion. Because out of all the movies on this top 10 list, this movie is by far the most critically and commercially loved movie on the entire list. Like, without question. People love this movie. And I just don't get it. Crazy Rich Asians. This is gonna be fun. Crazy Rich Asians is one of the most generic and formulaic romantic comedies I've seen in a while. It follows all of the same beats that so many romantic comedies have taken in the past many years, and it does absolutely nothing interesting with them. I found this movie to be very predictable, with all the cliches annoying me to death. And I didn't like the script at all. I found it very unfunny and disingenuous. I found the characters to be very annoying. And so much of the things that happen in the movie just felt so fake. Like, I get it. It's a romantic comedy. It's not made for me. This movie is to play into the fantasy of people that want to be romanced in the future. When your romantic comedy just plays into all of these cliches and doesn't do anything with them, in fact does them worse, that's a little bit of a problem for me. I just found this movie to be completely shallow and devoid of any real true heart and emotion to it. It was very dull, very boring, not funny at all, and just annoying. This movie annoyed me to death. I mean, I can admire the production design and some of the acting, but as a story, this movie just does absolutely nothing for me. If you want to watch a good romantic comedy, watch The Big Sick. Watch 13 Going on 30. Those are romantic comedies that I enjoy. The Princess Bride, that's the best romantic comedy of all time. Crazy Rich Asians, it exists. The addition of this movie on this list is going to be controversial depending on how much of a fan of this franchise you are. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I enjoy Harry Potter a lot. It's not one of my favorite fantasy series out there, but I think it's a lot of fun. There's some really creative stuff in it, and it's a wizard school. That's awesome. Fantastic Beasts I found to be fine. It was kind of messy story-wise, but I enjoyed it. Fantastic Beasts 2, what a mess. Fantastic Beasts 1 had a problem balancing different stories and tones. Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald was just all over the place. The story had no real direction, and the movie as a whole just felt very incoherent. A lot of the characters were pretty boring, and some of the characters that were in the first movie came back in this movie, and they just do absolutely nothing. I'm not sure why that one guy was in this movie at all, but he did pretty much nothing. And it all builds up to a climax that just doesn't go anywhere. The movie basically ends on a fart. The movie is just, it's bad. It's pretty bad. I found it boring, stupid, and just all over the place. It wasn't good. Just watch Harry Potter again. Coming in at number 6 is my guilty pleasure movie of 2018, The Hurricane Heist. What's that? You don't remember this movie? That's fair, no one remembers this movie. Except for me. Everything about this movie is just dumb. The story is dumb. The characters are dumb. The action scenes are dumb. The directing is dumb. The things that happen in this movie that are just dumb. Everything about this movie is dumb. But it's so entertaining. It's the kind of stupidity that you can just watch with a group of friends and just have a blast with. That's what I did. I watched this movie with a group of friends, and we had so much fun. Don't expect anything smart or insightful in this movie, because you are not going to get that, like, at all. And the movie as a whole is just not well made. Like, the directing is awful. The movie looks awful. But it's so fun. I can't help it. It's fun. It's very stupid fun. It's a total schlock fest, and I enjoy some schlock fests. That sounds weird. I don't know why that sounds so weird, but it sounds weird. Coming in at number 5 is easily the worst horror movie I saw in 2018, The Nun. I missed all of the Conjuring movies and all the Annabelle movies except for Annabelle Creation because I'm a man of culture. And I thought it was alright. It was fun. It wasn't amazing, but it was an enjoyable horror movie. The Nun was just absolutely boring from start to finish. The characters were uninteresting, and the horror elements were just stupid and kind of didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And the movie, it wasn't scary at all. I don't think I even jumped once. It was so bad, so boring, and the ending is absolutely hilarious, like unintentionally hilarious, of course. It's a generic horror movie. What more would you expect? It's boring, it's stupid, it's a horror movie. Coming in at number 4 is Venom. Gonna get him, Venom. Gonna Venom, 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 Venom. Venom probably has the worst script of 2018. The dialogue is so bad. It is so bad. So bad. The characters are all very weak. I didn't care about a single one at all. The only entertaining part of the movie was Tom Hardy's interactions with Venom, and I feel like a lot of it was pretty unintentional. Like, I know the movie was trying to be funny, but a lot of the lines that they were saying were just so unfunny that they just flipped all the way back around and turned into funny lines. I don't know how the movie did it, but I guess that's an accomplishment. And the action scenes are just absolute nonsense. It's film nonsense. It makes me think of the moments in Anchorman where Brick just goes, "Loud noises!" Because that's all this movie is. It's just loud noises. This movie is incredibly dull, incredibly stupid, and in some parts unintentionally hilarious. I don't know why people love this movie, honestly. Like, Crazy Rich Asians, I can understand. But this movie, no. Just no. No. Alright, we're at number 3, which means it only gets worse from here. Number 3 is the Cloverfield Paradox. Oh, this movie's dumb. There are things that happen in this movie that just make absolutely no sense. Characters die in some of the most random, obscure way possible, and a lot of the times, it's just hilarious. Like, it's so stupid, and it's kind of unintentionally hilarious, but, man. The characters are all completely useless. They're all stupid and terrible. I didn't care about a single one. The only character that is remotely likable is only likable because, oh, I have a family that I care about. Woo, nobody cares. That is like the easiest thing that you can give a character to make them likable. That takes no effort whatsoever. This movie was boring. It was dumb. I'm saying these words a lot, but a lot of the movies that came out in 2018 were just boring and dumb. And also, this movie had just a terrible tie-in to the actual Cloverfield universe, which took up about a total of 10 minutes of screen time. It was bad. It was really bad. The only good thing about this movie was its marketing. I mean, having the trailer being released during the Super Bowl game and announcing that, hey, this movie's coming to Netflix tomorrow. That's freaking awesome. The movie did not live up to that whatsoever. For a long time, I was sure this would be my number 1, but it is not, in fact. And some of you will probably be thinking, wow, I mean, I know this movie was pretty bad, but is it that bad? Yes, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is that bad. In terms of all the movies that came out that are dumb, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom easily takes the cake. Things happen in this movie that just baffle me. Like, some of these story decisions are some of the most confused, contrived possible things I've seen in quite a while. Especially near the end with the one girl. Easily the worst character of the movie, all because of plot reasons. I must save them because they saved me. Just screw you. Screw you, girl. I'm sorry, she's a child. This has nothing to do with the actress. It all has to do with the character. The character's horrible. In fact, all of the characters are horrible. I did not care about a single one. All of them were either dumb or unlikable or annoying or annoying or annoying. And on top of that, the script was absolutely terrible. The dialogue was horrendous throughout. And all of the exciting dinosaur action that could be in the movie, I just found it to be very uninteresting. It didn't have a single moment that was like the T-Rex scene from Jurassic Park, or the freaking the freaking dinosaur massacre of the entirety of the theme park of Jurassic World. Those scenes are great. Nothing about Fallen Kingdom stands out whatsoever. It's just, here I go saying it again, it's stupid and boring, and I pretty much hated every second of this movie. The fact that it in fact did not make it into my number one spot is kind of amazing, because I could not stand this movie. And I can understand if some people are like, hey, this movie is kind of so bad it's good. I'm sorry, I couldn't even get it to that level. This movie just made me angry. I do not like it at all. I'm hitting my notes on my bed because I hate this movie. And I think it's time to put this franchise to rest. It's time. So over Thanksgiving break, I was scrolling through Netflix, just seeing what was there, seeing what movies I could find. And then I saw A Wrinkle in Time. I was thinking to myself, hey, the trailers for this movie look pretty good. I'm curious to see what it is. And it turned out to be the worst movie that I saw the entire year. The A Wrinkle in Time movie is special. It is a special film because the directing is so bad. All of the shots in this movie just look awful. The movie is completely tone deaf. The movie has no idea where it wants to go. And it's just, how this movie get made the way it was, I honestly don't get it. Like, this movie is ugly. It's ugly. There are a total of 2 shots that looked pretty, and it's only because of colors. It's not even because of the cinematography, it's because of the colors. The costume designs are also ridiculous too. Like, what are the 3 ladies wearing? I don't understand. And all of the acting is so bad. Like, I'm not gonna put a whole lot of blame on the kids because, you know, they're kids, they're still developing. But freaking Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Oprah Winfrey, all of them have been established to be good actors, and they are just absolutely ridiculous in this movie. All the characters are terrible, and oh, that poor boy, he's forced to be the villain by the end. I could not take this movie seriously whatsoever. The script is also just terrible too. Every single line that comes out of these characters' mouths is just completely unnatural, and just like, these aren't human words. These are not human words. And all of the possibly imaginative stuff that this movie could do is just completely wasted on these boring scenarios. There's no creativity whatsoever, and it's just bland, boring, forgettable nonsense. This movie is nonsense. It has no idea what it's doing, where it's going. It's just kind of trotting along, just going places, and just, it's so maddeningly stupid. I hated this movie. Oh yeah, and let's not forget, the editing is bad as well. Specifically, the song choices that are spliced within the editing. Why are there these terrible modern pop songs in this Disney movie that's based on a classic book? Speaking of which, let's talk about the fact that it's based on a classic book. Now, I've not read the book. I've heard it's fantastic. I've also heard that this movie deviates a lot from the source material, which I'm pretty sure is why people hate this movie. I feel like if I had read the book, I would hate this movie even more than I already do. That being said, I forgot what I was saying. A Wrinkle in Time is terrible. It really is. Everything about this movie is terrible. The directing, the acting, the editing, the writing, the costume design, the special effects. The special effects are horrendous. Like there's a scene with one of the characters just like one of the ladies floating from one spot to another, and it like straight up looked like someone like cut out a picture of I think it was Mindy Kaling, or was it Reese Witherspoon? It was one of those two, but it legit looked like someone just like cut out a picture of her from the still frame and just kind of moved her over there and then just removed the finger. It was so bad. But enough negatives about this movie. Let me talk about the positives of this movie. Like I said, there are two scenes that have pretty colors. Chris Pine, while saying really stupid, terrible lines, gives off a lot of good emotion. The main girl has potential. Yeah, that's it. The movie's garbage. Don't watch it. Okay, bye.